We're living in a world where more and more data are generated every hour. There's also a result where more and more jobs and things focus on using those data to make sense of the world. Helping youth who are in school now to understand more about data that are being generated, what limitations they have, what strengths they have, what can and cannot be concluded from them, is really important.
That was Dr. Adam Maltese, an associate professor of science education at Indiana University. As an educator here at the Tech Museum of Innovation in San Jose, California, I was interested in how we can better teach data visualization, data collection, and data analysis. But to start, what does it mean for our students to be practicing data literacy?
Generally, our observations of many classrooms still consist of students generating values for something in a science class or a math class. And so they will go to many lengths to try to get their data to look like some expected answer.
But we know there are ways to get students to go beyond thinking there is one right answer. It's a real challenge in the field of teaching. But one idea is to incorporate new data recording technologies that make science practices more accessible and more authentic.
What is an interesting thing that's more possible now because of the availability of devices to collect data from the natural world is embracing the differences and the natural variation in the data that are going to be collected, and rather than ignoring those or saying those are incorrect for some reason, but they allow for the generation of data and then this actual discussion around this idea of variability, which is one of the most important ideas in all of science.
Over the past year at the Tech Museum, we've been collaborating with Making in Science, an initiative from Google to develop science activities and design thinking challenges featuring an app called Science Journal. Science Journal is a free smartphone application that makes use of the sensors already within a smartphone to turn what they're measuring into visible data. Here in the Tech Studio, we've integrated Science Journal with design thinking activities to visualize concepts such as acceleration and sound levels, but Science Journal can be used in a wide range of activities. While Science Journal helps us visualize data, we still need to understand what the data means. Understanding the data enables us to ask meaningful questions in science.
Definitely in science, definitely with the new science standards, and particularly the science and engineering practices, and generating, using data, understanding data, and communicating with data are key parts of that, as they want students to emulate what scientists do.
Data literacy covers many key components in the next generation science standards, but it's definitely still a challenge for teachers to incorporate data literacy into their classrooms. But this challenge is a way we can improve and progress the way we teach and learn about science.
When I taught middle school, I used to have my students generate, we would generate data through a lab activity. I, at that point, thought it was relatively important to have them take those data and put them into something like a spreadsheet and, create a visualization from those, whether it was a table or a graph. I would give them the freedom to create something on their own first. And so I would raise to them the question of, well, okay, that's interesting. What does it tell us? And often, because they just sort of automated the generation of the graph, they couldn't actually interpret what it would say, what it meant. And they would just fall back on the notion of, well, I don't know, the computer generated it, so it has to be right. But I don't know exactly, it was sort of a black box for them. The natural world doesn't operate and produce graphs like we see in textbooks. Not to ignore that, but to embrace that and really use that as a teachable moment. Having the students be able to generate and collect their data, if you can use something that's going to do automated data collection, shifting the focus from the technical aspect of reading the instrumentation to using the data and understanding the data, it can be a shift in where you focus your time. And the shifting it to the data analysis piece, I think, is an important shift. Whether or not they sort of go on in STEM or if they go off and do something else, this is a thing that scientists do and find important and valuable, that it really should be and needs to be integrated into the rest of the year, because it's really involved in everything that you would do in a science class, math class, or computer science class.
If you'd like to see these concepts in action, feel free to check out our design thinking activities, such as Zipline Descent, Toy Tops, or Ninja Walk, all featuring Science Journal.